Hello guys, it's LaserBeast here, back today with a guide all about gearing up in patch 10.2. We'll take a look at the raid gear, the new tier sets, the Mythic Plus dungeon pool and what we can expect from those dungeons. We'll have a brief look at PvP gear and also the open world sources of gear. So, in Season 3, patch 10.2, we will still be using the crest upgrading system, but this time it's got some slight improvements. There are no more fragments of crests, you just simply now get crests, so that's one less thing to worry about. Anything that would previously have rewarded you, fragments, will now give you a crest instead. And also, crests are now a currency, so they no longer go into your bag, so bag space enjoyers, rejoice. The crests will still use the same naming system, but this time there's a slight tweak. They're now called, for example, Drake Streaming Quest or Worm Streaming Crests, but they function in exactly the same way. And the upgrade racks are pretty much the same as well, so you've got Explorer gear that goes from item level 415 to 437, Adventurer from 428 to 450, you've got Veteran from 441 to 463, so you'll get this for Mythic Plus dungeons from levels 2 to 8 from the end of dungeon loot, and also this is the LFR raid item level bracket. You've got the Champion track, which is from iLvl 454 to 476. Now this is for normal raid items or Mythic Plus keys from 9 to level 16. You've then got the Hero track for heroic raid gear or Mythic Plus keys from 17 to 20. And then you've got the Myth track from iLvl 480 to 489. Now this is what you will find in your weekly vault if you have done keys from plus 16 to plus 20, or you can get these items from the Mythic raid. A nice addition to this system is that you can now downgrade and upgrade crests. So there's not really many examples where you'd want to downgrade a crest, but when it comes to upgrading crests, it isn't unlocked straight away. There's something that you need to do first. So once you have achieved the eye level of gear required in all of your item slots, you will unlock an achievement. So for example, we've got Dreaming of Drakes, which requires you to get item level 450 in every slot on your character. Once you've done that, you get the achievement, and that will then allow you to upgrade your Whelping's crests into Drake's crests. And the system follows on from there. You've got Dreaming of Worms and then Dreaming of Aspects, so you can then continue to upgrade your crests as you gear your character up. This just adds a nice bit of flexibility to the system, and I feel like it is going to be a welcome upgrade. The NPC that you use to do this is called Vascan, and you can find him in the main encampment of the Emerald Dream, the main hub, where you'll soon find as soon as you enter the Emerald Dream and start questing there. Another nice little tweak, especially for any alts or people that don't do any kind of hard content, is with the weekly vault. So you'll see on the dungeon section, you can now actually fill up your weekly vault using either heroic, mythic, or even time walking dungeons. So it gives people a nice easy in to start filling up their vault for the week if they've just maybe dinged the max level or if they just don't do difficult content. Now with a new season always comes new tier sets, and we do all have a new tier set for every class, dropping from the raid or your weekly vault if you do Mythic Plus or PvP. Now I know what you're thinking if you've been unlucky with tier sets in the past, what about the Revival Catalyst? Now good news, that is going to be open from day 1 of Season 3, so the 14th of November. So you'll get that, your first charge for that to use in week 1. The only downside to this though is because it is open from week 1, we now only get a charge of the Revival Catalyst every 2 weeks and not every week. And also because of this, Blizzard have said that raid tier pieces will drop slightly less at the start of Season 3. So fingers crossed within the first week or two of the raid being open that you do get a piece from the actual raid itself and then get a piece in your vault, and that'll nicely get you your 2 set, and then you can go from there. The raid does follow suit with the other raids that have come so far in Dragonflight, whereas the further into the raid you go, the harder the bosses get, the higher level item level loot they will drop. And there are some unique ones, some pretty super rare items which have nice effects, and perhaps the most exciting thing for warriors, paladins and death knights is a new legendary strength two-handed axe. fyr'alath the Dream Render. Pretty awesome model. It's going to have some effect on it, which we're not quite sure of yet. We don't know exactly what the stats are, but I'm pretty damn sure that it's going to be well worth aiming for, and it is going to take a while to get. There's probably going to be some expensive materials involved, a lot of questing through the raid and gathering certain items, so that's 100% something to aim for if you were one of those classes. Right, let's talk about Mythic Plus in Season 3. So here's a look at the loot table when it comes to item levels for Season 3, so you can see what level of gear drops from the end of dungeon bosses and what you'll get from your vault depending on what level of keys you complete. The only real difference here from last season is that the hero tier of upgrades, there's one more rank 6. So when it comes to upgrading gear from that tier, it is going to take slightly more crests. The major difference is of course the changing up in the dungeon pool, so there's some different ones here. You can see there on the screen which dungeons are going to be in this season, and with different dungeons of course comes different pools of loot. So you may want to have a check with your class guides or check yourself in the dungeon guide for anything such as trinkets or weapons that may be extra useful or OP for your class and spec, just so you've got a good idea of what to aim for when the season kicks off and which dungeons you may want to prioritise in terms of loot. I'm going to include a link down in the description to a handy guide on Wowhead that contains a list of all the armor drops from every dungeon in Season 3, so that you can check that out if you wish to do so. There's certain things like the weapons from the Dawn of the Infinite dungeon which have the added Time Strike stat on them for a bit of extra damage, which could be a nice bonus if you get your hands on those, or there's the ring and the trinket that have a little two-piece set going on from Crest Manor. Briefly mention PvP gear as I'm not an expert on that, but you can now upgrade the PvE item level of your PvP gear using Flight Stones, so you no longer have to use Honor on this. So it's a nice way to soak those up, because usually once your gear set's pretty complete, you've just got loads of Flight Stones sitting around, you sat there at the cap with nothing to do. So you can use your Honor for different things, and you can use these Flight Stones for that. You will now get Flight Stones from doing any kind of PvP activity, so don't worry if you don't do any other activity other than PvP, you'll still get a steady supply of these coming in. A little mention of crafted gear, so it is still going to be relevant, but it has taken a slight nerf this time round. It's going to be a touch lower item level than it used to be, so it might not be as desirable depending on your class and spec and what you actually need from crafted gear, but it still is going to be a brilliant way to get a nice high item level piece of gear to maybe fill in a slot where you've had some bad luck and not get anything from the raid or Mythic Plus, for example. And still a pretty solid way of getting things like a weapon early on if you need that. If you don't really do any of the difficult content and the main source of gear for you is the open world, then there's good news for you as well, because a lot of the outdoor content has had a boost to the rewards in terms of item levels, so you can still get Season 3 relevant item level rewards from things like the Fyr'alath Assaults, Dragonflight Keep, all of the world quests, the Centaur hunts, the Researchers Under Fire event, time rifts, dream surges, and all the repeatable quests and events that you're now used to in Dragonflight. So you can still use those if you want to fill in pieces of gear, but yeah, don't worry if you never step foot in the raid or Mythic Plus, you'll still be able to get some decent item level gear from doing all of the relaxed open world content. So that pretty much wraps up all the gearing systems of patch 10.2 Season 3, so I hope that's cleared things up. Any questions you do have, please leave me a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. I do usually reply to every comment, unless it's just negative nonsense. But with that said, thank you very much for watching, guys. I have indeed been LazarBeast once again. I do appreciate your time and your support of the channel, so if you have enjoyed the video, please do leave it a like down below and consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Thank you very much. Take care, guys, have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.